What a show this is going to be. Welcome to NBA Today with Cameron Sadeghi. I am your host, Cameron Sadeghi, and we don't just have a lot to talk about. We're having the biggest guest ever. Yes, Kenny Anderson, former first-round draft pick of 1991, second pick in the draft from what at that time was the New Jersey Nets, and a former NBA All-Star for the New Jersey Nets. He is going to be joining us talking about Brandon Jennings, and not just that, something more than just a game of basketball. I'll tell you all about it, and we'll even talk about what happened to him early in his life that will surprise many of you. But first, the big news from today. Brandon Jennings is now a Detroit Piston. In a sign-in trade, the Pistons agreed with the Bucks to give up Brandon Jennings. So, the Bucks will have Brandon Knight, Chris Middleton, and Vyacheslav Kravtsov. Wow, that's a handful to say. Chris Broussard reported that today. And Jennings will now be with Smith, with Billups, with Monroe, with Drummond. This team is stacked. They can compete with Miami now. I think so. You look at the Detroit Pistons and what they have. Maurice Cheeks is their head coach, everybody. Maurice Cheeks is one of the best NBA minds in the history of this game. He's been an assistant for a very long time, and a great assistant. He's done a great job with tough personalities, especially in Oklahoma City when he was the assistant there. So trust me, he knows what to do, and I believe in Maurice Cheeks. So watch out for Maurice. He's going to get it done. And now with Jennings, remember the criticism I've had with Jennings. Inability to understand the tempo of the game. We saw last year in the playoffs, the first round against the defending Miami Heat. The defending champions. Jennings, turnover. Bad shot, turnover. He's a gunner. And when the game gets out of control and it gets wild, just take a dribble back. Let's get into the offense. Jennings struggles with that mightily. And that's the biggest aspect from a pretty solid point guard to a championship point guard. Rajon Rondo's a championship point guard. Not just because he has a championship, but the style of play. When things are chaotic, he settles his troops down. When Darren Williams, when everything's going wrong, he knows when to say, guys, we need to calm down and let's just take it one play at a time. Derrick Rose can do that. Chris Paul can do that. I want to see Brandon Jennings do that. And experience will help him get to the promised land. So, Brandon Jennings, Josh Smith is small forward. That's going to be tough for me to swallow. Josh Smith is huge. That front line is huge. Drummond, Monroe, Smith. The problem is, okay, are they going to get a ton of rebounds? Of course. A ton of rebounds. But are they going to be able to go in the fast break game? Now you got Billups at shooting guard. Everybody. Billups at shooting guard. He's injury prone. We've seen what's been going on with him. It's a little scary right now. Jennings, the tempo of the game. Can you master the tempo of the game? Smith, don't settle for jumpers. Go attack. I don't like it when Josh Smith settles for jumpers. Okay? If you got the wide open 15-footer, nail it, Josh. But, hey, if you're guarded, don't settle for that fadeaway 18-footer with 5 seconds on the shot clock. You're ruining your team's progress. Those are bad possessions, bad shots. And I hope the Pistons, and I think Maurice Cheeks does an excellent job at making sure guys get good shots. And Maurice will be very disciplined, and he'll hold people accountable for such a young franchise. This is a very young franchise. And to have a guy like Maurice Cheeks to hold people accountable is excellent for this franchise. And for a team like this, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. There are going to be growing pains. They're going to definitely struggle out of the gate. Handling, hey, Josh wants to be the man. You know what Brandon Jennings is going to say? No, dude, I'm taking the shots. Who's going to be the guy who's going to create? Is it Brandon Jennings or is it Josh Smith? I don't know. Can they coexist well? Can they work off of each other well? I don't know. That's the big issue in Detroit. Now, is this team going to win an NBA championship? No. Can this team compete in the Eastern Conference? Yes. Can they be a 5th seed? Yes. I think they're better than Brooklyn right now. And I haven't even seen them play yet. Maybe I'm a little bit of the prisoner of the moment. Okay. But you can't tell me. Who would I rather want as my head coach? Maurice Cheeks or Jason Kidd? That's kind of easy for me to decide. Maurice Cheeks all day long. Because Maurice Cheeks has got a ton of experience. I know his identity. I know what he wants from his guys all the time. With Jason Kidd, I don't know. We've talked about that on the show. The identity problem. The identity crisis with the Brooklyn Nets. And with Maurice Cheeks, I know what I'm getting. I know what to expect. With Jason Kidd, I have absolutely no idea. No idea. Because he's not had any experience as an assistant in this league. Or as a head coach. So, and to just throw him out of the fire like that. Detroit will shock the basketball world. They are going to shock the basketball world. Be aware, East. Because when Mario Chalmers said there are going to be a lot of beasts in the East, well, guess what? There's another one. It's called the Detroit Pistons. Look out. Let's move on to a guy in the East, Luol Deng. In an interview with NBA.com, Powell Weska of NBA Africa, he talked about the injury. He talked about a lot of things in this interview, but with Luol Deng, you know, he was in a lot of pain. And just, you know, with the spinal tap procedure and the side effects from that, wow. He's had to go through a lot. Same with this franchise. And I want to tell you where I think the Bulls are, really, as a whole team. This team has the opportunity to go to the Eastern Conference Finals if Derrick Rose is 100%. I'm talking about getting back to the same form that he was. Okay? Luol Deng, I need 100%. Everyone says, oh, it's just Derrick Rose. Oh, it's all... No. Without Luol Deng, you're not making the Eastern Conference Finals. And I don't care if people think I'm wrong. I know for sure that Luol Deng provides a huge spark for that team, and he never gets the credit that he deserves. Did they lose Nate Robinson? Yes. But will that be the only thing? Will that hurt them a lot? Yes, but can they recover? I think so. They've got Jimmy Butler, who is really a solid defender and a guy who can give you a lot. He can create off the dribble for others when necessary, and he plays within himself. So I really got to commend Butler for that. And he's a really athletic defender. So just Deng and crew, Noah, Boozer, Noah. This team has everything that you could possibly have to compete. Now, with Thibodeau, with all this, with everything combined, with all what the Bulls have right now in store, can they beat the Pacers? I really don't know. You talk about a perimeter with the Pacers, with that Granger and George dynamic right there. Okay, point guard, let's be honest. The Pacers can't compete at point guard with Derrick Rose. I don't care what anybody says. Derrick Rose, when healthy, 100%. Derrick Rose, and people, say, oh, change of direction. Come on, really doesn't matter, Cameron. No, change of direction is one of the most underrated aspects about the game of basketball. Because the game isn't just vertical. You don't just run straight up and down. If I'm going to the bucket, I'm not running through people to get to the bucket. I gotta weave my way through. And the way Rose comes off those screens, splits the double teams, my goodness. And the explosiveness to the rim, and the ability to finish with contact, find the open guy. Derrick Rose is essential for their offense, especially when they need a big-time shot with the shot clock winding down. Put it in that guy's hands. Because Superman in Chicago wears a number 1 on his chest. So, Derrick Rose, if he's not 100%, I don't think they have a chance against the Pacers. Again, their competitiveness, their defensive rotations, I get all that. But they're not winning that series if Derrick Rose isn't 100%. I'm talking about down the line. Detroit, I think they can win a first-round series. I really do. I think they can win a first-round series, shock the world. Shock the world. This team has what it takes. Now, do they have a lot of, the intangible flaws maybe, the chemistry flaws? Of course. But that doesn't mean they're not a threat. They're going to shock the world. Quote me. They will shock the world. In case if you didn't hear me. Let's go to Memphis, where Mike Miller is a Grizzly. Finally, he comes back to Memphis. The Grizzlies are talking about how great of a fit it is, and rightfully so. They did not disclose the details of the contract. He was introduced at the news conference midday, according to NBA.com. Holds 8 franchise records with the Grizzlies. You know what I really, with Mike Miller, and I know you get guys like Stephen A. Smith making fun of his back and all that. Mike Miller is one tough dude. You talk about, everyone talks about the threes. Oh, look at him shoot the 3 without the shoe on. What this guy provides defensively is understated. Do you see how low he gets on defensive stances? That's impressive. Just that in itself is impressive. His ability to move his feet. His ability to help on defense. I think he's really underrated as a defender. And that definitely is what the Grizzlies want. I mean, I know Lionel Hollins isn't there anymore, but they need defense out on the perimeter. I mean, every single team does. So, for them to get Miller is great. And it may not be long term, but it's a good choice. It's a good fit. And they're definitely doing a good job over there in Memphis. So, Miller, incredible. And with what he does and how his role will fit, he's a championship role player. And a lot of people say there's no such thing as a championship role player. No, there is. When you relish your role as a role player, in my mind that makes you a championship role player. I heard Chris Webber say this on NBA TV Open Court. The best teams, the championship teams, have the best role players. And I've said that all along, and I absolutely support Chris Webber and what he had to say. And I definitely agree with that. A guy like Miller, you tell him what to do, and he goes out on the floor and executes every single time. He never disappoints. So, again, you gotta credit this guy for the ability to relish his role that well. Look at the Bobcats. Look at the Bobcats. Look at the, let's see here. Let me think. Look at the Lakers. Look at the Wizards. What do they all have in common? Role players who don't master, not good role players, who don't master the task at hand. Mike Miller masters the task at hand. The San Antonio Spurs role players master the task at hand. Miami Heat role players master the task at hand. And there's a reason why there are bad teams and there are really awful teams. Yeah, they may not have the superstars. Yeah, they may not have the best coach in the world, but they all have something in common. Not great benches. Really. Not solid benches, because they need to be able to sustain that intensity and that productivity level that the starters put up the first few minutes of the game. You can't, look at the Lakers last year. Oh, they got Howard. Oh, they got Nash. Oh, they have Kobe. Oh, they have Meadow, World Peace. Oh, they have Steve Nash. Put Jody Meeks in there. Put Robert Sacre in there. Are they going to put up the same productivity? No. Is Robert Sacre going to all of a sudden do some crazy, make some crazy defensive plays? Come all the way from the weak side and absolutely swan into the 10th row? No. Is Jody Meeks really going to, oh, look at Jody Meeks, everybody, he's got the hand in the pat? No. Let's be honest. So, role players relish, the championship role players relish their roles. And Mike Miller is a championship role player. So, anyone who disrespects Mike Miller, that's uncalled for. Because he's a championship role player, in my mind. Let's go to some Tim Hardaway action. Yes, Tim Hardaway, according to Slam Online, wants to be the next Miami Heat GM. He's currently a scout with the Heat, and once Pat Riley steps away in South Beach, Hardaway says he wants to take over for the front office. A lot of people are talking about Hardaway's maturity, and when he made the anti-gay comments in 2007, threatened by the league for how much he will be involved in the league and their processes. Hardaway says that he cringes at what he says, what he did say today, nowadays. And I'm really happy that Hardaway has really matured from that. But I kind of want to move on to the basketball point of view. Here you got a guy with the most beautiful crossover to ever play this game. You know when the crossover is so good when they put your name in front of the word crossover, because it is yours. And Tim Hardaway with the in between the legs, he'd come out, you come. Little quick stop, in between the legs, give you that little shoulder shimmy, cross over to the other hand, powerful, explosive first step, right to the bucket. Tim Hardaway, as a player, I heard Charles Barkley say that Tim Hardaway was right behind Michael Jordan as one of the best players to ever play this game. I thought that was kind of crazy. But I can understand why people would say he's one of the best players ever. The guy's scoring ability and offensive ability was just something on a whole new planet. And playing is way different than being a GM. Go ask Michael Jordan how his team has gone with him at the helm. Let's be honest. Charles Barkley says, Michael's one of my best friends, the best to ever play, but the worst GM ever. A lot of people are calling him the worst GM ever. I don't want Tim Hardaway to be that. I hope he's not. I think deep down Tim Hardaway wants the best for that team. But I think he needs a little bit more front office experience before he gets to that spot. Is he willing? Because being an NBA GM is tough. The travel, not being with your family. People say that's just the NBA life, even as a player. But you got to go scout overseas while your players are taking a break. You got to go scout overseas. That's tough. Is Hardaway willing to make that commitment in his life? I just don't know. That's up to him. But again, whenever you see all these players so anxious, I want to be a GM, it's like, hey, how committed are you? Really, seriously, how committed are you? You gotta be all in when you want to be the GM. That takes a lot of guts and commitment. Seven minutes from now, we're going to have Kenny Anderson. Former 1991 second pick in the draft, everybody. He's played for 14 years. And he's going to talk about Brandon Jennings, but he's going to talk about something in his personal life that you might be a little surprised. All of that and more will be coming up, but first, you can call 949-456-2911, 949-456-2911, or you can comment on the green bubble in the right corner. Tell me what you think about some of these stories. You can comment on the Kenny Anderson interview and what Kenny has to say. He's got many interesting thoughts, and he's really, really courageous to do what he's done, and I'll tell you what he did that has shocked some headlines. I want to move on to something else right before we get him on. Retired NBA star Grant Hill considering turn as TV analyst, according to Matt Moore of CBS Sports. Oh, wow. So, again, I think Grant, when he retired, he went on TNT. I saw a little bit of that with Grant Hill. He's really just a well-spoken guy. He's always been a well-spoken guy, but I think he's right for this business. And Grant Hill should be in the TV business. I think, personally, this is just me, I think he would do better than Shaquille O'Neal on the inside the NBA front desk. I kind of, no offense, but I kind of replace Grant Hill with Shaquille O'Neal or Chris Webber. But, you know, ESPN, TNT are the big two options. Or, you know, Grant just may go to NBA TV and do work there. I mean, that's not a problem, but you know, I'd like to see him on TNT, maybe do some games. Just like maybe, you know, do that. Just be an analyst. Just be a play-by-play analyst. A studio analyst. I kind of like that more, but considering you got Shaq and then Barkley and then Smith, Kenny the Jet, and then now you have Ernie. It's not like they're, you know, ESPN, they've got it all set up. They got Simmons, Magic, Wilbon. So they pretty much got it all set up over there. So Jalen Rose, I forgot about Jalen Rose. So yeah, I think Grant Hill is perfect for the job. So Grant should go one of the major networks. I go with TNT if I'm Grant. Depends what they offer, but you know, you could be an NBA analyst for ESPN, do some Sports Center stuff. So Grant Hill, he may be an NBA analyst, everybody. That will be great to see Grant Hill as a possible NBA analyst. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Kenny Anderson, everybody. Okay, NBA Today with Cameron Sadeghi. 2 minutes, we'll have Kenny Anderson. He's played for 14 years, and he's done a lot in the NBA, but I gotta say, Kenny Anderson is one of, I have to say, the biggest guest to ever come on this show. And proud, privileged, honored to talk to Kenny very soon. So, those of you, just real quick to recap, Kenny Anderson went to Georgia Tech, played for 14 years in the NBA, like I just stated. Second pick in the draft in 1991. Played for the Nets, Charlotte Hornets, Blazers, Celtics, New Orleans, Seattle, Indiana, Atlanta, and then to finish things off in Clipperland in the 04-05 season. So he'll be on in just a few moments. Let's take one more quick break. We'll be back.
Transmissions will resume. I try to push, try to keep us all down and hope that we will never
Joining me here on NBA Today, as promised, Kenny Anderson. Like I've mentioned, 14 years in the association, coming out of the 91 draft, played for so many great organizations, an all-star. He's going to talk about Brandon Jennings with the sign and trade and much more here on NBA Today. How are you doing, Kenny?
I'm doing great. I can't complain.
Kenny, so with this whole Jennings deal, a lot of people are projecting the starting lineups, putting Josh Smith at the 3, Jennings at the 1, Billups at the 2, and then Drummond and Monroe. Do you think this makeup of the starting lineup can win and go deep into the playoffs, or is this kind of a bad look for the Pistons?
You know, I like the roster, very athletic roster. By getting Jennings, a young up-and-coming point guard, I think he has to get better, with his shot selection. Has to become a pass-first point guard. And I think under the tutelage of Chauncey Billups, who's now back with Detroit Pistons, he can learn from him, and I think with the new coach, Maurice Cheeks, his calm and influence, I think he's a very good coach. I think it would help Brandon Jennings. But then you got Josh Smith, and also Monroe. It's a very athletic team. You see how they gel. I got them right now, probably saying 6th, 7th seed in the East. With the new coach, new players, you see how it gels. But they have some pieces to work with in Detroit.
Do you see... You know what, I'm just going to ask this point blank. Whose team is it? Because some say this is Jennings and this is really his team. Some say, oh, it's Josh Smith's team. Who do you view as the true, clear-cut leader of this team?
Well, that's a question that needs to be answered, mid-season or through training camp. You usually have that the head, the point guard who runs the team, who is like an extension to the coach on the floor. But I think with Brandon Jennings, he's a different type of leader. I don't know if he's learned or matured right now to become that team leader. It will happen. I love the guy. I love his game. And I know a lot of people don't like his shot selection. He has not a great percentage from the field. But I think his assists went up this year. I think it will come just on learning and understanding his shot selection, when to shoot, when not to shoot, the pulse of the team, get the team and execute the right plays for the right guys at the right time. Very important. And I think, like I said, I have Chauncey Billups there, who's a winner, won a championship in Detroit, who's been a combo type guard, who came in the league, was traded a bunch of times because he really couldn't figure it out if he was a shooting guard or a point guard, and he figured it out. He's probably the best that ever did it, to transform into a point guard, a leading guard, and win an MVP in the finals and a championship. So, I think having Chauncey on his side is going to help him. But to say who's the leader of that team, maybe in the beginning it might be Chauncey Billups, who's an old veteran type guy. Until Josh Smith and Brandon Jennings learn how to lead, I really don't know right now.
That's a good point. And you talked about with Jennings, and you said executing the right plays. I mentioned it earlier, and I said, the tempo of the game, because, we saw against Miami, I'm going to be honest, it was tied at halftime at all 4 games. It was close in the first. I knew Miami was going to win the series. Everybody did. But there were times in the third quarters and fourth quarters where I just felt like he wouldn't really settle down and just take the team under his wing and say, hey, guys, we're turning it over a little too much. Let's slow it down. I think that Jennings kind of rushes things a little bit too much. Do you see that do you think that he hasn't mastered the tempo of the game yet, or am I just making too much out of that?
No, you got a point. But also, you got to understand what's his roster, who he's playing with. And he got Skiles, gets fired midway through the season, and he has another coach. So you got to understand the stability of the Bucks organization and the players around them. Then they bring in Montel Ellis, sort of like a spark plug, the same type of player, like Brandon Jennings. So I don't think he complimented Brandon Jennings and his style of play. So he was out there being a one, but at times they had no interior offensive post player to go to. So it puts the guards out on the island by themselves, where they have to create, have to take bad shots at times. So you look automatically to the point guard. That was Brandon Jennings. Like I said, I like the roster that Detroit Pistons have. They're going to have now. He has to change his game to pass first point guard, get the team into the correct offense. Get the ball to the Drummonds, who's a big time center, up and coming center, or Rowe, who can play on the low box. John Smith, who could play, well, he's 2, 3, 4 maybe. Block shots, rebound. He's a streaky shooter. He sometimes doesn't have the right shot selection, but he's a very athletic player, one of the most athletic players in the league.
You mentioned Drummond and Monroe. Do you think that, what do you see in their games, and what do you think that they need to develop to take it to the next level?
I just think the right coach, the right mindset. I think they have it, and I think after a while you're going to leave. Drummond's been in the league one year now. He has the taste. Monroe 3 years. He's been in the league. He has the taste now. He knows. They both. I know Monroe's coming into being a professional and not just an NBA player. I think he's going to figure it out. Monroe, his first year, has a little taste of it. Guys sometimes don't want to have a losing season, so they're going to come in this camp in this season ready to play and ready to perform. So I just think, experience is the best teacher. Getting those minutes, getting those reps, and being thrown in the fire for both of those guys was great. Now they got to take it to another level, and I think with this new roster of players, I think they can do that.
What do you think about Billups? And I know he's been in and out, injuries. Do you think that he can carry the offensive load at the later stage of his career, or do you think he's just going to play more of the leader, the voice, or do you think that even at this stage of his career he can still produce well within the flow of the offense?
Well, I'm not sure. I know he's going to shoot the ball very well. He's a great shooter. I don't know if he lost a step because of the Achilles tendon injury. Well, we'll have to see. He's always been a tough, strong defender. But like I said, he might take a step back a little bit with his speed. But they also got Stuckey still there that they can use as a combo guard, which I like. But Stuckey can play the 2 guard and the 1 to give Brandon Jennings the rest. So, Chauncey's the ultimate leader. He's proven he's a winner, he's a champion. You just got to see off these injuries each year. Father Time catches up with you, so we got to see what that shape he comes into training camp, and how he's going to recover from that injury he had.
Lastly, do you think that this team has the opportunity to, you said 6th or 7th seed, do you think this team has an opportunity to win one round in the playoffs, or do you kind of see that as not really possible because the East has always had a solid and dominant top 4 for these past few years?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. The playoffs is about matchups. So we will see. We know we have Miami. We have new improved Indiana. But we have Brooklyn, with their changes with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. We have the Bulls coming back with Derrick Rose. You have some top 5 teams in the East. That's that's capable of competing against the Heat. But I really do believe Detroit can make some noise. They're not a contender. You just have to see. I think they have a better year than they had last year. I think the realm is 45 to 50 games. They should win with the talent they have. To see if the coaching staff and players all gel. It can work. But everything right now goes through the defending champs, and that's the Heat. But you have Brooklyn, you have New York, you have Chicago, you have Indiana. I like Indiana. The addition they made this year with an off season, and also hopefully Danny Granger with the Pacers to come back a little stronger. So with re-signing of David West, C.J. Watson is now there. The Indiana Pacers is not far off. Next year.
I want to segue from basketball into life. Sadly, and you shared this with SB Nation about you being sexually abused as a child. I don't want to go into the details like you told me, and I know you're going to tell in your book, but I have to ask you, and I'm deep down in my heart, how are you able to talk about this without having any anger? I mean, I know you weren't happy when you were talking about this, obviously, but again, how are you able to not show as much emotion, because that's got to be one of the worst experiences that any human being can go through.
Yeah, like I said, I did get molested. I'm not going to go into details because it will be in my book. It's very hard, but I've held it in so long. That happened 30 years ago. 30 years ago, it happened twice to me, and I'm still a little cloudy, over it. By coming out and letting it off my chest. But I think I'm on that platform. I have the voice, being Kenny Anderson, the ex-NBA All-Star, and, being, somewhat famous, and I can go out and try to help other kids not hold it in so long, and where they can get it off their chest and it can help them within their lives. Because me, I didn't do it bad with it, but it ruins a lot of kids. Sexual molested, and ruin their lives. But and I'm still a work in progress. So now, I gotta face up and go and have therapy on this, so that I can, get it all out of me and be a better person or whatever. So, that's one of the reasons I got it all. If I was gonna do a book, I had to come clean. So, just looking to help other victims to help them, open up with their problem.
How big was basketball an escape for you?
It was huge. That's what did it. I don't know if I was an average Joe. Who knows what I might have done. But once I became, I've been a prodigy, ever since, that occurred somewhat. 12 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I was in the papers. I was, being highly recruited at an early age. And I just threw it in the closet. Kind of put that force field up and just forgot about it. So it was a big, that was huge for me. That was my outlet, basketball.
Kenny Anderson, NBA Today with the Cameron Sadeghi. Thank you very much for coming on here. Again, you've contributed so much to the game, and really more than just the game, and to a lot of people. You're helping a lot of people coming out like this. So, Kenny, it's a real honor and privilege to come talk to you. Thank you very much, Kenny.
All right, my man. Thanks for having me.
We'll hope to see you down the line. Thanks. wow. Kenny Anderson, NBA Today with Cameron Sadeghi. I'll let you comment. Go right ahead. Green bubble, right corner. Or you can call 949-456-2911. Also, we're going to have this guy. Remember when I told you guys that we were promised to have 2 more hosts? Well, this guy may be a part of National Sports, so he's going to be on at 7:50, so about 3 minutes. But I just want to react to that a little bit because, look, with the basketball points I write on, but wow. I mean, to be honest, I talked about this before with him saying, hey, do you want to talk about this? And he said, no, well, yes, but I don't want to really get into the details. And when I saw that interview with SB Nation, and you can go see that, it was to see, like, I'm surprised that he didn't break down, in that kind of tell-all interview, in a way. Man, his ability, I was just surprised and baffled by the fact that he's able to hold in and reel in his emotions. Well, that was one of the most impressive parts of the way Kenny Anderson conducted himself. And the way Kenny, yes, he's mad and at those crazy monsters, but the way, Kenny's got a little, he's smooth in the way, he's not one of those guys who's like, hey, just gets all mad, gets all in your grill. No. You see with Kenny, it's more of a positive perspective. And just the way, the tone, and I really appreciated him coming on today. Usually most athletes or former athletes say, hey, this little online show, I don't want to come on this because it's not like ESPN or something. But I really appreciate Kenny and what he's done for the game and for many and millions of Americans, and what he will be doing in his book that he's writing. So Kenny Anderson, really appreciate it, and again, the biggest guest that we've had on this show. Let's be respectful to the other guests that have come on, and they've done a great job, but gotta say, Kenny was the biggest guest. We've never had an NBA player, former NBA player, come on this show and probably this channel, so really proud to have him here on today. Someone just asked from National Sports, can I be on, to talk about the whatever? Sure, come on. We're going to have someone else come on. I don't know if he's going to come on. I didn't really schedule, book him or something, but yeah, you can come on, 949-456-2911. You can comment on the green bubble. Go right ahead. Tweet me at SM_Cameron. It's been pretty good here. National Sports has gone pretty well. We might add these 2 guys as hosts. We're going to get more hosts, as we've said before. So be on the lookout. Stay tuned. Just want to give some quick news to you, or just a little headline. Steve Nash talked about his health on Jim Rome. He talked about Kobe. So that's that. on what Nash had to say about Kobe. He was basically, he was just saying, oh, Kobe's a killer and all that. I mean, of course, I'd expect him to say something like that, and then talked about Howard and saying that things didn't fit. It's just, and then, Nash saying he didn't really feel like he was at home and all that. Look, you know me. I support with Howard's decision, the way he did it. I support it. I think that Dwight Howard gets overly scrutinized, and I may be one of a few, but I believe he gets over scrutinized. We do actually have, I think I know who wants to be on. Here he is. Stephen Hughes. Oh, there he is. Steven.
Cameron, hey, this is Steven.
Hey, those of you know Stephen Hughes is on our channel on Spreaker. You can catch all of his shows. What did you want to talk about here today?
First thing I want to talk about is the Pistons off-season. And they're obviously, in the last 2 years, really gone down the tube. They're in a rebuilding stage. Now they got Josh Smith from Atlanta, and now supposedly the Pistons are trying to get a sign trade going. Brandon Jennings, I'm saying, and now they also got Chauncey Billups in the offseason. This is looking pretty good for Detroit, and adding those veterans with Lonnie Stuckey and Greg Monroe, who've been looking for veteran help and some leadership to really help this Pistons team. I'm thinking that the Pistons can possibly make a run here. Not as a 4, 3, or 2 seed, but probably as a 6, 7, or 8, in my opinion. I just came on just to say that, and the Warriors.
I knew he was going to say that. Oh, Stephen Hughes. Yeah, so I think he's right on. 6. When I said shock the world, I meant like they can upset somebody in the first round. Some of you are probably saying, "Oh, Cameron thinks NBA championship." No, they got a long ways to go. But they're definitely heading in the right direction. We always talk about that in sports when there's developing franchises. We always say heading in the right direction. That's exactly what the Pistons are. They're not there yet, but they're heading in the right direction. You know what? That's a wrap. NBA Today with Cameron Sadeghi. Kenny Anderson on today. More than just basketball. It was about life. When his book comes out, I'll make sure I tell you guys. Really good guy, really good person, and really appreciate it. Honored to even have the opportunity to talk to him. NBA Today with Cameron Sadeghi, that is it. If you didn't listen, please. Or if you did listen and you want someone else to listen, you gotta go tell them. Tell them about what Kenny had to say, because even if you're not a basketball fan, his story is unlike any other. Thank you, everybody, for listening, commenting, everything. And like always, hasta luego.